What's up, everybody? It's your boy, the Unseen Uchiha, the next Hokage. We're starting off our new series, What if Naruto had a metal vessel? Let's begin. We see Naruto. He has just failed the Genin exams. He is running far, far into the forest towards a large looking building. These are known as dungeons. Magical buildings created from, people say, God or the Sage of Six Paths. Naruto wants to go in to prove himself that he's a true Genin. If he defeats the dungeon, then maybe he can become a ninja, and it might help him also become Hokage. Naruto makes into the dungeon to see a wide open area with luscious trees, water, rocks, but also strange looking creatures that can fly, swim, crawl, some with large claws and teeth, and some with larger wings and talons. Naruto memorized, looks at the scenery for a long time. Then he hears a strange noise behind him. He turns around, whipping out a kunai to see a small monster. But Naruto does not want to take any chances and decides to attack it. This creature was just a brand new born monster of the dungeon. It was very weak, so Naruto killed it quite easily with only 3 stabs from a kunai. Naruto looks around, seeing if there's any other monsters, not seeing one inside that's least near him. He decides to walk around, explore, see what he can find, maybe something useful. After an hour of walking, Naruto finds, sadly, the corpses of some leaf jonin. But he sees a weird looking sword. This sword is known as a scimitar, a large curved weapon with a sharp edge. He continues to explore for another few hours, then he finds a large building. Well, not building. A large monster with a large set of doors behind it. Naruto thinking, if I can defeat this monster, then maybe, just maybe, I can make it through those doors. And maybe there'll be a way out of here. Naruto looks in his tool set pouch to see what weapons he has. He has a few kunai, shuriken, explosive tags, some smoke bombs, and some ninja wire. Naruto tries to do this smart and sets up a few traps with ninja wire and kunai. He can pull on the ninja wire to set off the kunai traps towards the monster. Naruto starts running towards him, pulling out his new sword that he truly doesn't have that much experience with. All he knows is some basic motions he's seen some swordmen Chunin use. Naruto bravely starts to fight the monster, every now and then throwing kunai, shuriken, and explosive shuriken too. During this time, Naruto gets wiser and wiser with battle strategy, starting to point out weaknesses the monster has. After 30 minutes, Naruto finally defeats the monster using his scimitar to cut off the monster's head. The monster explodes, leaving a weird looking gem. He picks it up, thinking this might be useful. He walks up to the doors and sees a little indent where something should be put to open. Naruto figures that it must be the crystal. Doing this, he puts it inside and the doors start to open slowly. Naruto starts to walk through. Naruto starts to roam the dungeon, getting to higher and higher floors, fighting more and more bosses and monsters, getting more experience, getting wiser and more intelligent the more he goes. After few months, at least in the dungeon, Naruto finally makes it to the top, where he makes it to a room. He opens the door and walks in to find a large looking man that's kind of bluish too. He introduces himself as the Jin of this dungeon, a magical being that can grant him power if he can prove himself. Naruto says, "How can I prove myself?" The Jin says, "If you can last 5 minutes with me in a spar, I will grant you my power and my riches." Naruto, knowing that this will be a hard battle to win, agrees either way, knowing that if he can at least last these 5 minutes and potentially beat him, he will have a lot of power, more than he has ever had before. Naruto and the Jin start to battle. First, in the first 3 minutes, Naruto is just dodging and evading, deflecting blows, and then the next minute after, he starts to try and attack back. Naruto starts to pull out his scimitar slowly. He gets into a stance that he's made of his own and starts to speed towards the Jin. He knows that this will probably not hurt him, but maybe it'll stun him. Naruto, with great speed after 2 months on the dungeon, speed blitzes around the Jin with the blunt end of his sword, knocks the Jin in the back of the neck, stunning him, finishing off the last 2 minutes. The Jin starts to clap. He says, "Very well. You did very well, child. I will grant you my power of the Jin." The Jin turns into a small blue orb and seals himself inside of the scimitar. Suddenly, the dungeon disappears, and Naruto is just sitting there with many gold jewels and gems. And outside of the big room where the dungeon used to be is the Hokage and a ton of different Anbu. They were about to head in to see if they can find his corpse, not realize that Naruto had the potential of defeating the dungeon. The Hokage, with a surprised look, says, "Naruto, my boy, you survived! But how?" Naruto starts to explain his several months inside the dungeon, showing his new wisdom and intelligence, and the sword with the Jin sealed inside. The Hokage says that you weren't even a genin when you passed through this dungeon and you defeated it. Very impressed. Naruto says that he wants at least 25% of the jewels and gems sent to his immediate account. The rest can be used to help pay for weapons and other things for the village. as well as he wants the sword he got the Jin with. The Hokage agrees, saying that it's his right. He was the one to defeat the dungeon. We have a time skip of 3 weeks after Naruto got out of the dungeon. Even though he healed quite fast from the Nine Tails, he still was fatigued and not eating truly right food. Because all there was just monsters he had to eat and plants he did not know about. After the weeks were over, Naruto was fully recovered, other than a little bit of malnutrition. Because of this, Naruto waits another 3 days, getting in as much food as possible to fill out his muscles and skin, because he looked like bone, with a final little fine-toned muscle. The Hokage meets them and says, Naruto, I want you to show me your power. This will help determine if you should be a Genin, or maybe even a higher rank. Naruto agrees, and they meet at Training Ground 7 to spar. It starts off with a normal taijutsu match. Naruto and the Hokage going back and forth. Naruto struggling because of the Hokage's strength and pure battle instinct. Naruto slowly says, it's time to show you what I've learned, and says, Balalar. Summoning the power of the Jin, he says, so you finally need my power? I will tell you commands to use it. And Naruto suddenly gets surrounded in lightning, which increases his speed and attack power, and complete mastery over natural lightning. This lightning doesn't take chakra, it just uses his stamina, or another source known as his Magi. After an hour of sparring, Naruto lays on the ground exhausted. Even though he got stronger in the dungeon, he can still not match the Hokage. Naruto knows this and accepts defeat. The Hokage decides that Naruto is strong, but he still is a Genin. Because of this, he puts him on Team 7 with Kakashi Hatake, Sasuke Uchiha, and I'm gonna make a change to this. Hinata Hyuga, because no one likes Sakura. They have a few months of D-ranked missions, and Naruto finally asks the Hokage for a C-rank mission. Sorry for the background noise, guys. Naruto finally asks the Hokage. Sorry for the background noise, guys. My dog's barking at my cat. Naruto finally asks the Hokage for a C-rank mission, and he obliges, knowing that he at least will have Kakashi, and he knows Naruto is at least potentially Chunin rank, if he gets a little bit more experience and skill with his Jin. They are sent to the land of the waves to protect Tazina, a master bridge builder. Tazina walks in, seeing the emo princess, a strange shy girl with white eyes and purplish hair, Kakashi with gravity-defying hair, and a boy with spiky blonde hair and blue eyes, but has an aura of power around him. He says, "You what? You're just gonna give me a group of kids to defend me?" The Hokage says that even though it's a group of kids, it's his strongest Genin team. Naruto and the team starts to leave off after meeting at the North Gate the next day. Naruto start to walk for 2 hours where they come across a strange looking puddle, even though it hasn't rained for weeks and they've been in a dry spell. Naruto realizing something's up, channels a little bit of his Jin's lightning into his hand and shoots it towards the pond, where the two demon brothers shoot out and charge towards Kakashi, appearing to kill him. Sasuke grabs one of the demon brothers, and Naruto attacks the other. Naruto Naruto slams one of the demon brothers into a tree, knocking him out. Well, Sasuke does the other same, slamming into a tree and wrapping him around with ninja wire. They start to question him and realize that they were after Tazuna, but they would not disclose who paid for their services. Naruto and his team still decide to fight on. They walk for another hour and make it to Tazuna's village, where the mist starts to roll in. Kakashi suddenly says, "Duck," the giant sword going over their heads. They all duck, barely avoiding the sword, and they see a man with his headband with a cross across it, slightly tilted, and bandages wrapping his arms, legs, and mouth. Kakashi realizes this is Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the mist. He tells his team to stay back and wait for his orders. They get into a fierce taijutsu battle and ninjutsu battle, where Kakashi eventually gets stuck into a water prison jutsu. Naruto, realizing this is his chance, summons the full power of his Jin, surrounding himself in lightning, and shoots a giant bolt of electricity towards Zabuza, causing him to let go of the water prison jutsu. Zabuza says on his head, "What is this kid? He should not have such a high lightning affinity." Kakashi and Zabuza start to get into a ninjutsu battle again. Eventually, Zabuza is pinned against a tree with kunai, and Kakashi is about to kill him. But beforehand, a masked shinobi, thought to be a tracker nin from the mist, throws Senbon into his neck, knocking him out, and takes him away. Kakashi and his team make it to Zabuza's house. I'm gonna leave it off here, guys. Thank you. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. I'll probably be posting the next part tomorrow. And I'd like to say go follow Six Mr. Jonathan and a few other YouTubers like Zether, Your Boy Oni, and some maybe others in the description below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.